My brother.
Good. There we go. Yeah.
Man, thank you for coming out here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Larry told me he did your podcast a while back. Is that true?
It's Larry. Yeah, Larry's great.
See,
you were great on the podcast.
Yeah, I love doing it.
Well, you know, it's freedom. You know, it's not working for anybody. It's saying what you want to say.
Listen, you don't
give
a shit. You say it how you think it, brother. You don't have a filter.
Well, that's true, but only if I'm right. Like, my feeling is I'll apologize when I'm wrong, but I'm not going to apologize for hurting people's feelings or pissing people off or ruffling feathers. I'll apologize when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, people say it all the time, well, you don't apologize for anything. I apologize to my daughter 26 times a week.
Right.
I apologize to almost anyone who asks me to apologize. I don't apologize for my opinions and my feelings,
Sure.
Especially as it pertains to a lot of shit that's going down these days.
Well, we did a radio show on KLOS years and years ago. You were the morning show.
Yeah.
And I had a little stint on it. I did 2 hours on a weekend for about 2 years. And you would bring me in, and I was so gracious because I got to tell you, the very first time I prepped for that 2 hour evening, I put my notes together, I was all ready to go, and brother, I burned through those things in 10 minutes, and I was so freaking scared for the next hour and a half. And you really were kind to me and brought me in, and were always just would let me come and sit down and talk, and you would teach me things, and I never really told you that, but it meant a lot to me, so thank you.
Nice.
Well, it's my pleasure, and yeah, radio, it's an invisible skill. It's a real 10,000 hours kind of skill in that interviewing people, hitting the brakes, hitting the commercial breaks, doing the whole thing. It's nothing but repetition, but it can't really be taught. You just have to go in the studio and fuck up for about a decade.
My dear friend Roger Miller told me I had a face for radio.
King of the road. Yeah.
His son Dean Miller produced my album.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
But you were one of the first to get into the podcast business. Now it seems like everybody and their brother has a podcast. But
Yeah.
you got into it right away. And how long have you been doing that podcast now?
Coming on to 15 years.
So there you go.
Right around 15 years.
There you go. Are you tired of it? I mean, I know it's your bread and butter, but are you at the point where you're like, man, maybe 15 years is enough? Are you ready for another 15 years?
No, you know, I had the experience of work for a long time. You know, I didn't go to college. I came up sort of blue collar. I worked construction. I worked as a carpet cleaner. I did earthquake rehab work in Los Angeles. I did every bad job you could do, and I didn't do it for a summer for my dad's construction company in between, you know, semesters at Harvard or Yale or Stanford. I drove a truck. I had a lumber rack and a bed box. I worked full time, and I did it for well over a decade. So I know what it's like to work outside, to be in the sun, to get dirty, to get calluses on your hands. And I swore if I could ever find a job where I got to sit down, sit in air conditioning, and get paid to share my thoughts and my ideas and my feelings, that I would never call that work. And I still don't.
Well,
That being said, I did get paid right after the show.
that old deal about the man who loves his job is always on vacation, you know?
Right.
When I was a kid, I used to
Great.
go out
Yeah.
and work with my daddy one day on the drilling rig out in West Texas. And he said, "Oh, Marine." My dad's a Marine in heaven. He said, "Let me tell you how it's gonna be, boy." And I knew right there. He said, "We're gonna go out there," and said, "You're not gonna polish that seat there where with your seat, you're gonna get up."
Where you're sitting.
He said, "If it's broke, fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke and you can't fix it, paint the son of a bitch."
That's right.
Welcome to the oil field.
What was your first job in the entertainment business? How'd that start?
So my story, the entertainment, how I got into the
Yeah.
entertainment business was a crazy but possibly motivational story that will require me putting my glass of wine down for, because it is that involved. I was about 22 years old. I was sitting in my apartment in North Hollywood with no air conditioning and 2 roommates and driving a truck, no life insurance, no health insurance, no dental, no medical, no nothing, making $9 an hour, swinging a hammer on a construction site. And I thought, I gotta do something better than this. And so I thought, well, maybe I can do comedy. And I said, I'll give myself a few years. And I'm not going to be able to break into this overnight because it's a hard business to break into. But by the time you're 30, you want to be doing something in the entertainment business. And I wasn't thinking about being in front of the camera, behind the microphone, just something other than working with my hands outside, using my mind. And along the way, I became a boxing instructor. So I was a boxing coach.
Wow.
I was a boxing, white collar.
Let's have a few fights before you can be an instructor.
Some Golden Glove action in the 80s. But I was working as a boxing coach in the morning. In the afternoons, I was working as a carpenter. And I was about to turn 30, and I wasn't getting anywhere with my career, and I'd been taking classes and doing open mics and training. I'd do everything I could do, but I never got paid. And I'm driving my truck over the hill, and I'm listening to the morning radio show, and they're doing the morning zoo thing, and I hear that Jimmy the sports guy is going to fight Michael the maintenance man. The 2 guys in the morning zoo were going to have a boxing match. And I was driving my truck. I got trained one of those guys to box, so I could meet him. Maybe I could see the inside of the radio studio. I could get in somehow. So long story short, I show up at the radio station one morning. I'm standing out in the hallway, the door's locked, it's closed for business hours. I'm standing there in the hallway, and someone's going in, and I go, listen, I'm a boxing coach. I'm just gonna stand by the elevators. Can you tell somebody in there's a boxing coach who's standing out here? I'm about to turn 30, so I'm kind of up against it. I stand out in the hall for about half an hour. At some point, guy comes down the hall. He looks at me and he goes, you the boxing coach? I go, yeah. He goes, all right. When do you want to start? I go, okay, today. He goes, okay. My name is Jimmy. I go, okay, nice to meet you, Jimmy. That guy turned out to be Jimmy Kimmel. Wow. That guy who lost the boxing match.
I was going to say, you were up against it then if you were trying to teach Jimmy how to
Send him out for the second round with no mouthpiece. I remember holding the mouthpiece in my hand. I was going like, get him, Jimmy, get him. And I was like, what, did I bring an extra mouthpiece? No, this one's got Jimmy's spit on it. I think this is his. Yeah, that guy goes on to host the Oscars 3 times. But he gives me about 3 weeks to train him. By the end of the thing, he's like, you're funny. I'm like, you gotta help me get into radio. He said, I'm nobody at this radio station.
You guys did the Man Show.
Yeah, we did the Man Show, we did Crank Anchors, we did tons of shows after that, but at the time, he didn't have any choose.
He lost the fight and still wanted to partner up with you.
Still wanted to partner up, and he just said, come up with a character, call into the station on Mondays, probably not gonna work, but if it works, you could call in the next. The moral of the story is, I got to call into the radio station, and the character I was doing got really popular really fast, and the next thing you know, I was hosting Loveline, and then Loveline got made to a TV show on MTV, and then Jimmy and I got together and did the Man Show, and it just kept going after that. But the moral of the story is I still had my old buddies from the Valley, Valley guys, right? And these guys, even though it's Los Angeles,
Rob Wright.
Yeah, they may as well grow
like
up in Oklahoma, right?
Hanging out here.
And I remember I said to them after I was doing the character for about 6 months, they go, how much are they paying you? And I said, nothing. They don't pay me anything. And they're like, whoa, you're working for free, you're getting ripped off. And I said, I should be paying them. And 2 months after that, they started paying me. And then 2 months after that, I was doing a syndicated radio show. And the next thing you know, I'm a millionaire.
From a boxing coach to a comedian.
I was just boxing coach.